Case between the federal government of Nigeria and the detained leader of the Indigenous People of Biafra, Nnamdi Kanu, apparently took a new technical twist on Thursday after one of the lawyers of the detained Biafra leader, Paul Erokoro, San, presented and played 3 videos which the Federal High Court sitting in Abuja later admitted in evidence. The videos of former Nigeria Chief of Army Staff, retired General Theophilus Danjuma, saying, security operatives in the West Africa country, specifically the armed forces, are working together with the armed bandits to kill Nigerians, stressing that, if Nigerians depend on the armed forces to curb insecurity, they will all die one by one. Also that of Governor Hope Uzodinma of Imo State, saying politicians are behind killings in the state. Lastly, and the most interesting video played at the court to counter the testimony or statement made by the DSS prosecutor witness over Nnamdi Kanu-led IPOB founding Eastern Security Network, ESN, allegedly created by group of youths in the southeastern geopolitical zone of Nigeria, often referred to as Biafra land, to fight in self-defense against Fulani armed bandits or terrorists that were advancing and killing people in the eastern states during the era of President Muhammadu Buhari, was that of the Director General of the Department of State Services, DSS, Adeola Ajayi, who is apparently the government chief complainer in the case, and the DSS DG in the video recorded and published by Symphony News Media in February 2025, narrated how youths at Azare community in Katagum local government area and Tafawa Balewa community of Tafawa Balewa local government area in Bauchi state, when the DSS DG was the State Director of State Security Services, SS, resorted to self-help and killed all Boko Haram terrorists that came to attack them without depending on the security operatives. According to the DSS DG, when Boko Haram terrorists invaded Azare community, they started shooting and killing people. Then, the youths went after the Boko Haram terrorists and killed all of them, even when one of the Boko Haram terrorists named Khalid climbed a tree and started firing gunshots from the tree towards the people who were on the lower ground. The Azare people resisted and went after him and subsequently killed him. Although the federal government prosecution witness identified as BBB, who is a DSS operative, stated that the ESN is an illegal organization because there is no approval of government given to the people of Southeast to establish such a self-help group to defend their land against terrorists, unlike a Motecan security network in the Southwest states that was approved and permitted by the government, also claiming his boss, the DSS DG in the video, was asking communities to build the first line of defense by thus working with security operatives, but a careful and detailed study of the DSS DG speech in the video shows that the FG witness, BBB, probably talked off points, totally off-key from the original intent and intention of Mr. Adeola Ajayi, the DSS DG teachings and advise in the video, who had said the Azare community people acted in quick response to an emergency situation, and the storyline indicated that the people of Azare prepared themselves in advance, likely purchasing and acquiring firearms equivalent to AK-47 rifles to be able to face and kill all the Boko Haram terrorists that invaded the community, as narrated by the DSS DG. And if true, the DSS DG, the chief complainer, must also be ordered to appear before the court as a defender in the case to present a certified true copy of government approval given to Azare people to defend themselves, or prove beyond reasonable doubts how the people of Azare community were able to kill, merely with the bare hands, all the Boko Haram terrorists that invaded their community with high-precision weapons of mass destructions. In addition, the DSS DG in the video probably advocated for the need for all individuals in Nigeria to have a gun, because he gave an example of a visit to the United States of America, USA, when his host in the US heard a police siren sound. He quickly brought out his gun and said, if the criminal chased after by the US police ran into his apartment, he would use the gun to kill the criminal suspect, and that not all. The DSS DG in the video also recalled and referenced the words of Nigeria former head of state, retired General Ibrahim Badamasi Babangida, that if insecurity must end in Nigeria, Nigerians must be ready to resort to self-help like the people of Azare community did. Details of the court proceedings on Thursday as reported by the news agency of Nigeria, NAN, and republished by Vanguard newspaper are presented verbatim below. Justice James Omotosho admitted the flash drive containing the 3 separate video recordings as Exhibit PWP and a certificate of compliance as Exhibit PWP-1 in the ongoing terrorism trial of Kanu, the leader of the proscribed Indigenous People of Biafra, IPOB. The documents were admitted in evidence after Paul Erokoro, SAN, counsel for Kanu, tendered them from the bar and were not opposed by the federal government's lawyer, Adigboy Egberowomolo, SAN. The news agency of Nigeria, NAN, reports that the 3 video recordings were played in the open court and the FG's witness, an operative of the DSS, identified as BBB, was cross-examined by Erokoro. Earlier, the lawyer reminded the witness that during the cross-examination the previous day, reference was made to remarks by Danjuma and the DSS DG, and he responded in affirmative. "Do you know your DG, and if you see him, will you recognize him?" Erokoro asked. "Yes, I will, my lord," BBB responded, and the lawyer sought the leave of the court for the video to be played. In one of the videos, the DSS DG was addressing a gathering of people where he suggested that communities should endeavor to create a first line of defense against bandits and other invaders. In the video, Ajayi cited examples of 2 communities, Azare and Tafawa Balewa in Bauchi State, that were able to kill and dislodge Boko Haram insurgents through collective effort when he was serving as state director. The DG said it was practically impossible for security agencies to protect every society in the country. The DSS boss was heard saying, "The practical approach to mobilizing people is to get everyone involved. It is impossible for the security agencies to deploy to every part of the country. What we need to do is to make communities set up first line of defense. We have to allow some levels of armament for the communities to rise and defend themselves first, but under the guidance and approval of security agencies. The time to start it is now." When asked by Erokoro whether the DG-DSS was not asking for communities to defend themselves, the witness emphasized that the DG stressed that such communities must come for guidance and approval from security agencies. In another video, former Defense Minister, General Danjuma, was shown making a remark in an event. Danjuma was heard, in the video, saying members of the armed forces were not neutral in the ongoing killings across the country. The ex-general said in the video, "The peace in this state is under threat. There is an attempt for ethnic cleansing in this state and all the riverine states of Nigeria. We must resist it. We must rise up. The armed forces are not neutral. They collude with armed bandits that killed Nigerians. They facilitate their movement. They cover them. If you are depending on the armed forces to protect you, you will all die one by one." When asked by Erokoro who the speaker in the video was, the witness confirmed that he was Danjuma. Erokoro then asked the witness if he heard Danjuma calling on people to defend themselves and that the security agencies were not neutral, and BBB responded in affirmative. BBB, however, rejected Erokoro's request to give his, BBB's, opinion on the implication of what Danjuma said. "I am not here to interpret his statement. The maker of the video should be the one to interpret it himself," he said. When the lawyer asked him if he was aware DSS arrested Danjuma for making the statement, the witness said, "I am not aware my organization arrested him." The third video showed Governor Uzodinma complaining about the killings of some All Progressives Congress, APC's leaders in his state and blamed it on the politicians. The governor said in the video, "Wicked politicians are sponsoring the killings in Olu. The APC leaders were killed, but not one PDP leader has been killed or attacked for once. I think their cup is now full and killings of innocent people must stop in Imho." Uzodinma, who said it occurred to him that the alleged killers were after APC members, said government would come hard on them if they failed to refrain from such act. When asked who the speaker was, the witness said it was Governor Uzodinma. Erokoro then asked BBB whether Uzodinma's position did not contradict his claim in court that IPOB members were behind killings in Olu in Imho. Responding, the witness said DSS position was informed by the outcome of their investigation. BBB further said that, while Uzodinma failed to mention names of victims of the killings he referred to, the DSS investigation was specific on the identity of those killed by suspected IPOB members, who were enforcing the sit-at-home order directed by Kanu. Our investigation revealed those who were killed by suspected IPOB members, and we mentioned the names, but the governor did not mention any name of people he said were killed, the witness said. BBB, who was the second prosecution witness, PW2, was also cross-examined by Erokoro based on his earlier testimony. When asked about the IPOB status, the witness said he was aware that IPOB had been prescribed by an order of court and that Kanu had been a member of IPOB before and after its proscription. On whether he knew what the NS's protest was about, the witness said it was about the call by some people for the police's special anti-robbery squad, SARS, to be scrapped. The witness also said he was aware that some states, including Lagos and the National Human Rights Commission, NHRC, constituted commissions of inquiry to probe the NS's protest and other related incidents. When he was asked to read the heading of the report of the panel, the witness said, Lagos State Panel of Judicial Inquiry on Restitution of Victims of NS's Protest and Other Matters. The witness agreed with Erokoro that the report from the commission set up by Lagos State did not indicate IPOB and that it did not classify the protest as act of terrorism. Erokoro tendered the report issued by the Lagos's Commission of Inquiry, which the court admitted in evidence as Exhibit PWO after it was not opposed by FG's lawyer, Chief Adigboyegba Awomolo. When he was asked if Kanu's international passport had ever been in DSS custody, the witness said he had never seen the passport before. When asked if he was aware Kanu had traveled to different countries before, BBB said the IPOB leader told him he had traveled to many countries. He said though he did not know if the name, Biafra, had been prescribed, BBB said he was aware that IPOB had been prescribed. The witness, who admitted that the AGF letter was tendered through him in court, said he was aware of all the allegations against Kanu mentioned by the AGF in the letter. The witness disagreed with Erokoro that the letter did not serve any useful purpose. He said he did not know if Kanu had been in detention for the past 5 years. When asked if he had the report of the investigation on Kanu, BBB responded in affirmative. He, however, said that the report was not with him in court because the report belongs to the government. The witness said his involvement in Kanu's matter was only the taking of his statement on the video. When asked if there were any other persons as defendants in the charge against Kanu, BBB said it was only Kanu he saw as sole defendant. Erokoro put the question to BBB that in the earlier video he watched, there was no one bearing arms as members of ESN. Responding, the witness said, in the video we watched, I cannot say they carry arms or they did not carry arms. The witness further explained that the people might be carrying arms underneath them. While responding to question during re-examination by FG's lawyer, Chief Adigboyegba Awomolo, SAN, on whether the Eastern Security Network, ESN, set up by Kanu and Omotekan established by Southwest states had the same features in their formation, the witness said ESN was an illegal group unlike the Omotekan. The witness said Omotekan was backed by laws passed by the various houses of assembly of the 6 Southwest states while ESN had no law supporting its existence. ESN and Omotekan are not the same. I know that states in the Southwest passed laws to legalize Omotekan. But ESN is not registered. ESN is illegal. Omotekan is recognized by law, the witness said. Justice Omatosho then discharged BBB from the witness box. The judge, before adjourning for the day, gave the prosecution 6 days within which to call all its witnesses and conclude its case. He said this would, however, depend on how fast the defense too conduct their cross-examination. Justice Omatosho also indicated that the defense would be allocated 9 days. He reminded parties that accelerated hearing had been granted in the case so that the trial could be concluded within reasonable time in the interest of justice. The judge, following an agreement by lawyers to parties, adjourned until May 28th and May 29th, June 6th, June 16th, June 18th and June 19th for the prosecution to conduct its case. We had reported that unknown witness brought by the federal government of Nigeria to Federal High Court sitting in Abuja on Tuesday over the case involving Biafra Republic agitator, Nnamdi Kanu has testified before the court that the Indigenous People of Biafra, IPOB leader was the founder of the Eastern Security Network, ESN, an IPOB-acclaimed vigilante security network established to fight against terrorists that were advancing from northern part of Nigeria and building camps in some parts of southeast states, although the unknown witness, who was fully masked and personal details kept secret, introduced himself as a personnel of the Department of State Services, DSS, who was among the detectives that interrogated the detained IPOB leader, but the IPOB leader, Nnamdi Kanu, in a swift reaction said the witness is unknown, denying ever meeting such a person. The defense lawyer raised a point of observation during cross-examination that the issue raised by the unknown witness has been deliberated and struck out by the previous judge. We had reported that one of the witnesses called by the federal government of Nigeria to testify against the leader of the Indigenous People of Biafra, IPOB, Nnamdi Kanu, over the alleged act of terrorism, secretly gave his testimony on Tuesday before the Federal High Court sitting in Abuja, with the coordinating lawyer to Nnamdi Kanu, Barrister Aloy Ejimakor, saying, the FG witness was only identified merely by initials and the person gave his testimony against Nnamdi Kanu behind the screen, following the application filed by the federal government lawyers as approved by the trial judge to keep the identities of the FG witnesses secret. This, Aloy Ejimakor tweeted while the court proceeding was ongoing, that the federal government only has 3 senior advocates of Nigeria, SAN, that 6 SAN have stood firmly behind the detained Biafra leader. We had reported that Justice James Omotosho, the new judge that took over the case of the detained Biafra agitation leader, Nnamdi Kanu, has accepted the apology tendered by Nnamdi Kanu through one of his lawyers, Barrister Kanu Agabi, a Cross-River State-born former senator in the Nigeria National Assembly and 2-time Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice under the then-President Olusegun Obasanjo, over the detained Biafra leader's outburst or manner he protested sequel to his rejection of the former judge, Justice Binta Nyako, when the case started afresh on Friday with the new judge, which Nnamdi Kanu pleaded not guilty to the 7 counts terrorism charges filed against him by the federal government. We had reported that the detained Biafra Republic agitation leader, Nnamdi Kanu, has not been released by the Chief Justice of Nigeria, CJN Justice Kadirat Kakareyekan, Nigeria National Judicial Council, NJC says in reaction to viral rumors that the Indigenous People of Biafra, IPOB leader has been set free by the CJN on the ground that Nigeria courts under her leadership have no jurisdiction over the freedom fighter's case due to the way and manner he was forcefully extradited from Kenya to Nigeria in 2021. We had reported that the detained leader of the Indigenous People of Biafra, IPOB, Nnamdi Kanu, on Valentine's Day sent a message to the lovers, supporters of the Biafra Republic agitation and the general public that he would remain in detention until impartial and unbiased judge take over the case of alleged terrorism filed against him by the federal government of Nigeria, narrating how the judiciary has been biased against him since years of his detention. We had reported that Justice Binta Nyako of Federal High Court in Abuja has adjourned indefinitely after the detained leader of Indigenous People of Biafra, IPOB, Nnamdi Kanu, was seen in a privileged video footage during February 10, 2025 court session, staged a resistance protest, insisting while confronting the judge face-to-face, including the prosecuting counsel, Adigboyegba Awomolo, that Justice Binta, who is an indigene of Katsina State, same state with former President Muhammadu Buhari, is biased, saying, Justice Nyako, who had held the political position of Katsina State Attorney General and Commissioner of Justice, that her court is not a court of law but a shrine of injustice, accusing the judge of poke-nosing with authorities to pass wrong judgment against him in order to be left off the hook by the federal government. Her son, Abdul Aziz Nyako, and her husband, retired Vice Admiral Matala Nyako, who was once Chief of Naval Staff, Deputy Chief of Defense Staff, pioneer former military governor of Niger State, 2 times governor of Adamawa State, who were impeached twice by Adamawa State House of Assembly for misconduct, one of the soldiers that fought against Biafra during Nigeria Civil War, a current member of the ruling All Progressives Congress, APC, who is facing corruption charges alongside his son in a criminal allegation filed before court of law since 2015 by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, over alleged cases of abuse of office, criminal conspiracy, theft and money laundering. We had October 2024 reported that the Chief Judge of Federal High Court in Nigeria, Justice John Tahemba Soho, has rejected the verbal plea by the detained Indigenous People of Biafra, IPOB leader, Nnamdi Kanu, for the trial judge in the case, Justice Binta Nyako, to withdraw being the judge over the lawsuits. Justice Soho stated that Kanu's case was reassigned to Justice Nyako due to its prolonged nature, dating back to 2015. Given that Justice Nyako had handled the case for the most part, she was deemed the most suitable judge to see it through to its conclusion. However, the Chief Judge directed that if at the next hearing of the case, Kanu still insists on recusing Justice Nyako, he must file a written motion with an edit, stating all the grounds for requesting the recusal. We had reported in September 2024 that Justice Binta Nyako of Federal High Court sitting in Abuja have withdrawn from the case of detained Biafra leader Nnamdi Kanu after the trial on the Biafra leader's personal confrontation with Ntaya. We had reported in May 2024 that, in a rare case in the history of legal proceedings in the world, Nnamdi Kanu, the detained leader of the Indigenous People of Biafra, IPOB, held himself at the Federal High Court sitting in Abuja and played the role of a lawyer with full energy and vibrant command of words, with fearless loud voice defended himself with face-to-face confrontation with the trial judge, Justice Binta Nyako, and the Federal Government Prosecution Counsel, Adigboyegba Awomolo. Kanu is being prosecuted by the federal government on a 7-count bordering on terrorism.
These are not neutral. They collude. They collude. They collude.
He has advised himself
with the armed bandits that kill people, kill Nigerians.
Like the CDS.
They facilitate their movements. They
Thing
cover them.
he said to us, which is quite important,
If you
is
are
that we should not make this,
depending on the armed forces to stop the killings,
and that's why this
you
is
will
my
all
part.
die one by one.
All the practical approach to mobilizing
Neutral.
to curb insecurity. I'll share experience with you when I was state director in Bauchi. Most of you will remember an incident in Azari.
Kill Nigerians.
A group of terrorists, the Boko Haram, then
Cover them.
had invaded Azari.
If you are
They were shooting
depending on the armed forces,
in an attempt to kidnap,
the killings
and the community
will all die
chased them.
one by one. These are not neutral.
They killed some members of the community,
They collude.
but the community members killed all of them.
Collude.
The last guy, Khalid,
Collude.
climbed onto a tree and was fired.
Armed bandits
The community stood, they were resilient,
kill Nigerians.
and they killed Khalid.
They facilitate their movement.
Since that day, there has not been one terrorist attack in Azari.
If you are
As a matter of fact, the former head of state, General Ibrahim Badamasi Babangida,
you will all die.
said, and I quote, "If we want to stop or curb this terrorism, we shall emulate the Azari example."
They collude.
Tafa Balewa also happened to be a local government in Bauchi that was always in flames.
Kill Nigerians.
And the people
Facilitate their movements.
of Bogoro
Cover them.
and some part of Tafa Balewa, where the Sayawas are,
You are depending
rose up on one occasion. They knew their terrain better, climbed onto trees and mountains. When the invaders came, they did not only repel them, they seized their weapons. And since then, you can attest to it that you hardly hear about Tafawa Balewa again. What I'm trying to say, the practical approach to mobilizing people is that you have to get everyone involved. You do not expect the Nigerian Army, police, DSS, to protect every Nigerian or every community. It is not going to work. In the US, if you visit someone in the house, you will be shocked that when the guy hears a police siren, he will just pull his drawer, bring out his gun and keep it. So one of my hosts did that, and I asked him, why are you putting gun here? He said, well, if they are chasing someone and he enters my house, I'll shoot him first. And that is the layer we have to start thinking about. How can you create first line of defense? The military, police, and other security agencies are to deal with the bigger ones, the organized ones. But it is impossible for us to deploy it to every community in the country. It is unimaginable that any security agencies that has the resources to do it. So as we live here, we all belong to one community or the other. What we have to start experimenting is how we can make the community to prepare first, if the first line of defense for it. General Wahab said it clearly. And for me, there are 3 takeaways from his lecture. By the way, the general and I were guest speaker at one program in our office, so I am not surprised at his dexterity. He has developed some sort of expertise in what he does. But 3 things for me. He asked us a question. What is our own culture? Our culture is communal. We do things together. Festival together. Ceremonies together. Wedding ceremony, whatever. So why can't we fight some miscreants, some charlatans among us together? The community should say, you cannot come here. This is what Tafawa Balewa has done. If you go to that community to attack them, you'll be sorry for yourself. I challenge anybody to try it. And this is the way we have to do. We have to allow some level of armament for the communities, and they can serve as the first line of defense. Second takeaway from what the general said. All society approach is not the first time we are hearing. But what I'm saying, the way to do it is when we live here, those of us who have some influence, the elites in society, discuss with your communities, come to us, get some sort of approval and guidance, and then we can stop these criminals. You can imagine you call sector, let's say sector 4 or whatever, sector of the army, to come to this community if there's an attack. Before they even arrive there, if they attack another community, what happens? This is what we should take away from here. And lastly, he said something very instructive. By the way, I like Osman. He knows who to give time. Have you seen him around here? He has advised himself. So don't run into trouble like the CDS. Okay, so last thing he said to us, which is quite important, is that we should not make this another talk show. And that's why this is my intervention. That security starts from you. There is nothing that is new. 1870 something, I can't remember. The French Revolution in the street of Paris, they were beheading people. We've had hijack of plane. We'll forget quickly. We've had the wet year syndrome. We had so many. There's some Metassini and whatever. There will always be security problems. So when I hear people say this is security in Nigeria, as long as human beings exist, there will be security problems. The issue is the response. We have to take that mentality away. What is the security agencies doing? Who, apart from a tree, knows that they want to come and cut him and remain standing? Only a tree. We have to get the communities to rise and defend themselves first. And the time to start it is now. When you move out from here, I do that every day. I come from a village in Ijebu land, Ogun State, and I talk to my people. I know the level of armament they are entitled to. I know how they organize themselves in quarters. We have 4 quarters. I am using my expertise to get.
Edo State Governor, Monday Okpebholo has called for more stakeholders' supports and actions towards ending secret cult-related killings and other organized violent crimes in the state, stating that the aged-long secret cult war in the south state of Nigeria has driven away a lot of investors, and as such, Edo State has been at a loss of $1 billion every year, with statistics, according to the governor, showing that the natives of Edo State top the list of the highest diaspora remittances in Nigeria, but over 95% of the natives divert the funds to other states to avoid secret cult violence in the state, also known as the heartbeat of the nation. Governor Monday Okpebholo made through the office of the Chief Press Secretary to Governor, Fred Ichua, in a statement issued on Wednesday. According to the statement, the Edo State Governor, Senator Monday Okpebholo, has expressed deep concerns over the adverse impacts of long years of cultism on the state's economy, particularly the loss of lives and the loss of over $1 billion worth of potential investments annually. These acts of violence, predominantly driven by clashes among rival cult groups, have not only led to tragic loss of lives and property but have also discouraged investments and tourism, ultimately slowing economic growth. The Chief Press Secretary to the Governor, Fred Ichua, stated that the high spate of cult-related violence in the last 5 years, long before Governor Okpebholo assumed office, has caused substantial disruptions to economic activities, as investors and business owners increasingly grew wary of the security situation. What we have witnessed in Edo was more than a threat to public peace. It was a significant drain on our economic potential. According to statistics by the Diaspora Commission, Edo State tops the list of states with the highest remittance from the diaspora. However, 95% of the repatriated funds ended up in different states because of cultism and other violent crimes, as our people in the diaspora were scared of coming home to invest. This loss in disposable income, closure of businesses, and decline in tourism severely impacted the state's business climate, Ichua said. He noted that the state's critical infrastructure and commercial centers were also affected, with some businesses forced to shut down temporarily or permanently, owing to security concerns. The fear of violence also deterred potential visitors, resulting in a downturn in hospitality, transportation, and other tourism-related sectors. Ichua said the narrative has, however, changed, since Governor Okpebholo declared a total war on cult-related violence in Edo State. He said the efforts of Governor Okpebholo are already yielding results, with more stakeholders joining the support groups against cult-related violence in Edo State. Ichua noted that the state is regaining its lost glory and that sanity is being restored. He urged Edo sons and daughters both in Nigeria and in the diaspora to bring their investments home and help in the economic development of the state. Governor Monday Okpebholo is restoring peace to Edo State, especially in Benin City, where cult-related violence had held sway for too long. Our hard-working sons and daughters, both in Nigeria and in the diaspora, can now bring their investments to their homeland, Edo State. Hospitality is a big business in Edo State. We have real estate. Governor Okpebholo is also sanitizing land administration. This means Edo people can now invest massively in real estate. Agriculture is a viable sector in Edo State, and it can bring huge returns on investments and create jobs for our people. Governor Okpebholo is urging our people to look towards that direction. We have the skills, and the needed support will be given by the administration of Governor Okpebholo for Edo people to set up industries, hotels, commercial farms, real estate, and other key investments. These investments will be protected and guaranteed by the state government, Ichua noted. As for the remnants of miscreants still holding sway in some isolated areas, Governor Okpebholo is engaging community leaders, youth groups, civil society organizations, and security stakeholders to foster peace building and tackle the root causes of cultism. This is not a fight for government alone. It is a collective responsibility. We are calling on all well-meaning Edo citizens to work with Governor Okpebholo in reclaiming our communities from the grip of violence, Ichua added. He reassured the public that Governor Okpebholo remains committed to building a safe and secure environment where businesses can flourish and citizens can live without fear. Edo State has immense economic potentials. Governor Okpebholo will not allow violence and cultism to define our future. With the right partnerships and firm action, Governor Okpebholo is restoring peace, attracting investments, and repositioning our economy for sustainable growth. We had reported that the Edo State Government led by Governor Nnamdi Okpebholo has issued an executive order, blacklisting a government-registered acclaimed socio-cultural organization, the Neo-Black Movement, NBM, as a violent organization among those responsible for violent crimes of high rates of secret cult-related homicide killings in the state, and in a swift reaction, the president of the Neo-Black Movement of Africa, NBM, Olusegun Osagie-Kor, while speaking with a panel of presenters at Arise News Television during the TV program, accused the governor, Nnamdi Okpebholo, of allegedly using members of the Black Axe confraternity during his election, adding that the governor never consulted with them to know if members of Black Axe confraternity are also members of the Neo-Black Movement, saying, the governor is now attacking NBM because of Black Axe, stressing that Black Axe confraternity is a criminal organization, insisting that members of the confraternity are never members of the NBM, and shortly after the NBM president's statement, large group of youths in Edo State led a solidarity protest march to the Edo State Government House in Benin City to express their support and willingness to defend the government policies and actions to stop the massive destructions of lives and creation of young widows and high rates of fatherless children in the state due to secret cult activities. Assessments of some of the pro-government policy protesters indicated that some of them are people who may have identified themselves in the past as members of the Neo-Black Movement, and they also appeared to be people very loyal to one of the prominent leaders of the NBM, Anthony Arden aka Tony Kabaka, who trended when he was interviewed about the activities of the NBM in a BBC documentary published by the British Broadcasting Service some years back. We had reported that, in apparent anger, Edo State Government under the leadership of Governor Nnamdi Okpebholo has issued a serious warning with a strong message sent to the President of the Neo-Black Movement of Africa, NBM, Olusegun Osagie-Kor, that the Edo State Government has started consultations to enable it take more appropriate legal action against the Neo-Black Movement, saying, the international headquarters or secretariat of the movement situated at Amagba area in Benin City that was demolished last month by the state government, has been an enclave used for planning and execution of secret cult-related killings by members of the Neo-Black Movement. The governor also referred to and described as Black Axe secret cult, probably expressing more anger that the leadership and members of the Neo-Black Movement had the courage to come out publicly to identify themselves with the demolished building. The governor said they will be made to face prosecution. The national president of the Neo-Black Movement, Olusegun Osagie-Kor, while speaking in reaction to the demolished building on a Rise News TV program, said, the movement is not Black Axe, emphasizing that Black Axe is a criminal organization while the Neo-Black movement is a social cultural organization that promote and engage in humanitarian services. It would be recalled that we had reported that the Edo State Police Command of Nigeria Police Force has confirmed the arrest of 95 persons in connection with the killing of more than 15 people between April 25, 2025 and now in the renewed deadly and bloody apparent supremacy secret cult war in the state among members of the Black Axe Confraternity aka AEA, Maphite Confraternity aka Great Men and Aye Confraternity aka Elids, which started with the killing of a physiotherapist, simply identified as Alex, and another individual at the University of Benin Teaching Hospital, UBTH Back Gate, Okpebholo, in Benin, with the Edo State Government led by Governor Monday Okpebholo launching a retaliatory war against businesses and individuals allegedly aiding secret cult killings in the state. Thus, sealed off Eterno Hotel, planned to demolish the hotel owned by People's Democratic Party, PDP chieftain, Honorable Matthew Idai Kemwin, who was the Director General of Asuan Ogie campaign organization in the last governorship election in the state, on the ground that a particular secret cult group members gathered at the Eterno Hotel to plan their recent killings in the state. And in addition, the Edo State Governor also sealed off and marked a residential building for demolition also owned by a PDP chieftain, Francis Enegbeneki. Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC has arraigned a staff of Ecobank plc, Solomon Stephen Ufio for cybercrime after the suspect made deposit into one of the bank customers' account and later withdrew same without the consent of the account holder. The suspect was arraigned before a federal high court sitting in Lagos State last Friday with one count charge of alleged cybercrime of impersonating the account holder, Ogunfadunran Omawunmi Ajoke in violation of Section 22(2)(b)(i) of the Cybercrime, Prohibition and Prevention etc. Act, 2015 and punishable by Section 22(2)(b) of the same Act. The suspect pleaded guilty to the one-count charge and was subsequently remanded to Ikoyi Prison or Correctional Center by the trial judge. Details are presented verbatim below as reported by the Public Relations Unit of EFCC, including the report of Justice Muhammad Maina of the Borno State High Court, sitting in Maiduguri, convicting and sentencing a chief executive officer, CEO of a company, Alhaji Bashir Tanko, to 21 years imprisonment for misappropriation of money paid into the company's account by a petitioner who sought the CEO's consent and used the convict company's account to receive the money he was paid for an execution of contract. EFCC arraigns banker for alleged 2.4 million naira cybercrime in Lagos. The Lagos Zonal Directorate 2 of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, Okoti Ebo, on Friday, May 16, 2025, arraigned one Solomon Stephen Ufio, a staff of Ecobank plc, on a one-count charge bordering on alleged cybercrime to the tune of 2,404,000 nairas, 2,404,000 naira, before Justice Yelam Bogoro of the Federal High Court sitting in Ikoyi, Lagos. The count reads, that you, Solomon Stephen Ufio, between the 10th to the 28th day of March, 2025, in Lagos, within the jurisdiction of this honorable court, while working for Ecobank Nigeria Limited as a relief teller, fraudulently represented yourself as Ogunfadunran Omawunmi Ajoke, by posting false deposit and withdrawal tellers on her Ecobank account number, 2,801,086,259, with intent to gain advantage for yourself and thereby committed an offense contrary to Section 22(2)(b)(i) of the Cybercrime, Prohibition and Prevention etc. Act, 2015 and punishable by Section 22(2)(b) of the same Act. The defendant pleaded guilty to the charge when it was read to him. Following his guilty plea, Prosecution Counsel, Abdulhamid El Takur, called on David Ngale Gahere, an operative of the EFCC, to review the facts of the case. Gahere told the court that Ufio, who is a relief teller with the bank, fraudulently represented himself as one Miss Omawunmi Ajoke, a customer of the bank, by posting false deposits into her EcoBank account and moving the total sum of $404,000, which he filled out in withdrawal deposit slips without her consent and paid the same into his own OPay account. He further informed the court that the defendant provided an extrajudicial statement and also issued a bank draft for $2,404,000 as restitution to the petitioner. He identified the defendant's extrajudicial statement, copies of the bank slips, the certified true copy of the bank draft for the restitution to the tune of $2,404,000. The prosecution counsel then sought to tender, in evidence, the documents, which were admitted and marked as exhibits by the court. The judge adjourned the case till June 6, 2025 for judgment and ordered the defendant to be remanded in the Ikoyi Correctional Center. Court jails company CEO for 33.5 million naira fraud in Maiduguri, another arraigned for alleged 5.6 million naira fraud. Justices Muhammad Maina of the Borno State High Court, sitting in Maiduguri, has convicted and sentenced one Alhaji Bashir Tanko to 21 years imprisonment. Tanko was rearraigned on November 18, 2024 by the Maiduguri Zonal Directorate of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, on a one-count amended charge bordering on criminal misappropriation to the tune of 33.5 million naira, 33,500,000 naira. The charge reads, that Bashir Tanko Tahir, whilst being the Chief Executive Officer and alter ego of Sahil Building and Engineering Company Limited, a company registered in Nigeria, and Sahil Building and Engineering Company Limited and Musa Umaru, now at large, sometimes in 2019 at Maiduguri, Borno State within the jurisdiction of this honorable court, did dishonestly misappropriated the entire sum of 33,500,000 naira, 33,500,000 naira, out of 38,500,000 naira, 38,500,000 naira, being paid to your company account domiciled with Access Bank with account number 0024320657 bearing Sahil Building Engineering Limited, by a non-governmental organization, acted, being the money belonging to one Anna Adam and thereby committed an offense contrary to Section 308 of the Penal Code Cap 102 laws of Borno State of Nigeria and punishable under Section 309 of the same law. The defendant pleaded not guilty to the charge when it was read to him, and counsel for the prosecution, Mukhtar Ali Ahmed, S. Saka, Farik Muhammad and Abdul Malik D. Aliyu presented 6 witnesses and tendered several documents as exhibits in the course of the trial. Justice Maina convicted and sentenced Tahir to 1 year imprisonment with an option of 200,000 naira fine. The judge further ordered the convict to restitute the petitioner the sum of 33,500,000 naira, 33,500,000, or in default to serve 20 years imprisonment. The convict's road to the correctional center began when he dishonestly diverted monies sent to his company account after the execution of a contract awarded to the petitioner who used the convict's company. In a related development, the Maiduguri Zonal Directorate of the EFCC, on Tuesday, May 20, 2025 arraigned one Ibrahim Azami before Justice Aisha Kumalia of the Borno State High Court, Maiduguri. The defendant was arraigned on a 2-count charge bordering on obtaining by false pretense to the tune of 5 naira, 600,000.00, 5,600,000 naira. The charge reads, that Ibrahim Azami with national identification number 12,587,398,155, sometimes in 2024 at Maiduguri, Borno State within the jurisdiction of this honorable court, did obtain the gross sum of 5,600,000 naira, 5,600,000 naira, belonging to Kelu Muhammad, which money was transferred from Modu Muhammad account number 2,085,061,819 domiciled with Zenith Bank PLC into your account 2,081,085,253 Ibrahim Azami domiciled with Zenith Bank purportedly as money for the purchase of land situated at Jere local government with allocation number BO 89,983/17, which you knew to be false and thereby committed an offence contrary to and punishable under Section 1(1) of the Advance Fee Fraud and Other Fraud-Related Offences Act 2006 and punishable under Section 1(3) of the same Act. The defendant pleaded not guilty to the charges when they were read to him. Thereafter, prosecution counsel, Aliud Abdulmalik prayed for a trial date and to remand the defendant in a correctional center. Justice Kumalia thereafter adjourned till May 26, 2025 for hearing of bail and remand the defendant in Maiduguri Correctional Center. His journey to the correctional facility started when he received the sum of 5.6 million nairas for the purchase of a plot of land situated at Jere local government area which he did not buy.
Bringing you the news in a more digital way.